Hello, and welcome to today's meeting of the Commonwealth Club World Affairs of California, our new name after merging with World Affairs in 2023. I'm Eric Siegel, chair of the club's Personal Growth Forum, and your host for today. For those of you on the live stream, we strongly encourage your questions. Just write them on the YouTube chat channel, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. For this event, we have a special guest moderator, Heather Krupa, who was instrumental in getting Born I invited to the club, and she's going to be introducing him and moderating the questions from the audience here and on the live stream. So here's Heather.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here. As a brief introduction, Born I is a hip-hop artist with over 20 million streams, and he is also a meditation teacher. He's the male voice on the popular meditation app Balance. He leads mindfulness retreats across the country using his music, such as the latest album, Komorebi, in his teaching. Born I's live show, In This Moment, a music and meditation experience, had its debut in 2021 at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Despite all of that, I didn't know of Born I before Eric asked me to take a look at him and his work. And when I did, I was immediately drawn in. And maybe this is because I listen to a lot of rap music, and I meditate and I practice yoga. But for me, those things don't usually happen at the same time. So I was very curious about how this artist, this person, wove all of his passions and skills together. As Alice Walker, the author of The Color Purple, said, "I know almost nothing about hip-hop, and yet, when Ofosu shared one of his songs with me, I was immediately moved. I could feel the energy of loving self-acceptance, that we're all here in the universe, experiencing pain, yes, but also wonder together." As Born I says in his new book, Lyrical Dharma, presence and kindness and in my blindness. So for the next hour or so, let's all come together in community, in curiosity, and kindness. Please join me in welcoming Born I to the club and to our stage.
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Am I coming through? Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right. Okay, cool. So I thought I'd just kind of come out here so you could see my shoes before I perch also meditatively on my Zafu and Zabuton. So I'm just going to walk over here also. Now, in case you were wondering, are these comfortable? No. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Okay. All right. So, so my name is Ofosu Jones-Quartey, and I'm also artistically known as Born I, and I'm a hip-hop artist and mindfulness and meditation teacher. I've been thinking about how I wanted to sort of share this time with y'all. And I think what I'd like to do first is just talk a little bit about my work and then just offer an experience of my work from there so there's not a whole lot of, rigmarole happening. So I've recently released a new book, as some of you may know. It's called Lyrical Dharma, Hip Hop as Mindfulness, with a foreword by the incredible Alice Walker, and I released an album called Komorebi, which is somewhat of a companion album to the book. And the book also contains lyrics from my 2 previous albums, Amida and In This Moment. During the pandemic, I became interested in I became interested in death and what I was and how I was living my life. And I had been teaching mindfulness and meditation for a really long time, and I'd been a hip-hop artist, a rapper for a really long time, but I also was feeling oftentimes that I was jumping in one world and then into another. You can imagine like going from like a rave or a concert and then having to teach a retreat the next day. It's you're just questioning your identity all the time. And I wasn't 100% on board, I think, energetically or ethically or spiritually with the music I was making. It wasn't terrible, but I thought to myself, like, if I were to die suddenly, because that's what was happening to folks during that time, do my children have a catalog of music of mine that they could refer to understand what was important to me? And I did not. Now, when I started my journey, we have somebody in the house who's been here since the very start of my journey, my good friend Dragonfly. And so Dragonfly knew me 20 years ago when I was making Buddhist-influenced hip-hop. And then when I left the group I was working with at that time, I just wanted to see how the rest of the world was experiencing life. And so my music took all kinds of twists and turns. But I found myself wanting to return to 20 years ago when I was making that kind of music. What I was sharing was very much more like exposition. I really hadn't experienced what happens when the rubber hits the road when you want to live a spiritual life. And so what my music represents now is this, a life that's been lived a little bit. Now, as a teacher, I'm wanting to encourage people I'm wanting to normalize the absurdity and the often challenging nature of being a human being. It is very strange to be a person. It's strange and it's not easy. I mean, you come into the world, you're naked, you're hungry, and that's pretty much how it goes. And you have to do stuff. Now, my wife's not here, so I hope she does. You know, we have this. She's always like, "Don't bring me into it. It's too late." But we might have different. It's okay. It's okay if we have different sort of ontological worldviews. Some of us may have the viewpoint that we all chose this life, that we chose before we came into this world, that we made the choice. We picked our parents, we picked all that stuff. That's great. If you believe that, if you like it, I love it. What I'm saying is, I don't remember doing that. So as far as I'm concerned, I just emerged into space. Okay? And it helps me to have compassion to think of you in the same way. I was out in the middle of the grocery store parking lot looking at people, and I was like, nobody signed up for this. All this stuff we got to do, all this scurrying about, nobody signed up for it. And it really melts my heart for my fellow person when I think about, just like, can you imagine you just pop out and have to do stuff, and then people make demands of you, and then what, your parents, can you imagine? Okay, my fellow immigrants, my fellow children of immigrants, do you know the thing that's hung over our head, like, we came to this country to give you a better life? I don't remember asking you to do that. Why are you? Wasn't that literally your decision? Wasn't having me? And now I'm supposed to feel bad and study hard. That sucks. Anyway, it makes me have a lot of compassion and I think your chuckles are telling. You really think about it, it's like, what the hell is going on here? And how did we get here? It's like, and what are we doing here? And then all the pressure we put on ourselves once we get here, for what exactly? Why are we being so hard on ourselves? And by whose standards should we have everything figured out? And there's so much suffering that arises from, I think, assuming that the absurd is not absurd. If we can just be like, this is strange. This is peculiar. What is going on? It's actually a question in Zen. What is this? You sit and you meditate. It's sometimes it's called Wadu. Sometimes it's called koan. Yeah, what is this? It's a dangerous question to ask when you're driving, but it's great on a walk. What is this? You just see something with brand new eyes and ask you let's not take just not taking anything for granted. Like looking at a tree as if you've never seen one before. When we really start to look at how our lives are. And that's the awareness. So I think that mindfulness is something that when I teach mindfulness to young people, I say that mindfulness is a way for us to do two things: to be aware and to care. And so when we deepen our awareness through paying attention to anything, we hopefully develop the eye of wisdom that shows us that we're all connected, and that we're all, at least that we're all connected in living in this great mystery. And when we consider that we're all connected in the great mystery, we should be nice to ourselves and we should be nice to each other. And not even a should. I think it's a natural outflow of that realization that wow, this is so strange and this is really not easy. And there's so much that I don't have control over. Why should I be so hard on myself? And then why should I be so hard on my fellow human? And so I think that by paying attention, by learning how to be aware, and by learning how to care, we create the conditions for us to be more wise and more compassionate. And as a teacher, that's what I'm trying to encourage people to do, to affirm that nagging suspicion that this is very bizarre and what the hell is going on, and just be like, yeah, it's strange, it's weird. And it's not your fault that it's strange or weird. You didn't make it strange or weird. It's just strange and weird and hard. But you can make it harder and stranger and weirder by being mean to yourself. I think a lot of the problems that we have are people's lack of self-acceptance, lack of inner fulfillment, and their external ways of trying to validate that emptiness. And it's a bottomless pit, that thing. Like, hey, what if we just said, this is bizarre. What is going on? I don't know. And to never know, to be like, I don't know, and just be like, this is a mystery. May I be kind to myself. May I be kind to my fellow travelers. As an artist who cares about the teachings of mindfulness, the Buddhist teachings, the teachings of love and liberation, I am interested in exploring how those teachings impact my own life when the rubber hits the road. Because I've had my own unique experience of being alive, and my experience of being alive contains so many different things. Being Black, being born male identified, being the child of immigrants. My family's from Ghana in West Africa. Being introduced to Buddhism at an early age, being a young father, living with a neurodivergent mental health condition, living with OCD for many years. I'm in the second year of my diagnosis and treatment, and I'm having a much better time. Much better time. Is it enlightenment or is it the Luvox? I don't care. I couldn't care less. I'm having a fantastic time. I'm having a much better time. And as a meditation practitioner, as a teacher, I definitely felt that I should be able to figure it out. I should be able to meditate myself through it. But did I cook myself? Did I stand over my own being and say, and we'll add a dash of childhood trauma and a little dash of neurodivergency and throw in some OCD in there? No. I didn't cook myself. I'm wearing the bodies of my ancestors. I'm wearing the body of all of my ancestors and the brain of all of my ancestors going back to the beginning of time. And who knows? We in this generation have a much wider margin of error than the previous generation. Previous generation margin of error, I mean, and then go back one generation behind that, and then there's not even germ theory. My God. So yeah, we're cooked with a lot of anxiety, that we come front loaded with. I didn't make my brain this way, and I really did try to meditate my way through it. I really did try to. Well, I also tried to drink and snort my way through it. I tried to do all. It didn't work. And so actually, this path of being aware of what's happening inside and applying compassion to myself, talking to myself, treating myself the way that I would treat a friend. A good friend would be like, "Hey, you should get this checked out." So and my daughter was instrumental in encouraging me because she got an OCD diagnosis and she was like, "I didn't cook myself. So, I got this from somewhere." And and I was like, "You don't say." Yeah, I'm 3 minutes into getting an analysis. It was like, "Oh, no, yeah, listen. If ever, ding, 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 if ever there was someone who had the thing, you got it." And then it took me a while to take medication to help myself, and because I just had this kind of shame about it. But it's still connected to this practice of being aware and offering care. I am also a fellow human being in the mystery, and this whole thing being mysterious and challenging, we should apply some kindness to help us navigate it. A part of helping me navigate it is being a creative person. And I wanted to create a life where all of my things were one thing. So whether I'm making clothes or writing a book or making an album or guiding a meditation, hanging out with y'all at the Commonwealth Club, it's all pretty much the same message that you are enough. Life is challenging, be kind to yourself. And I want to be able to wear the same thing no matter what. So I feel like, yeah, we could go anywhere after this. Whatever's clever. We can go to the monastery. We can go to the club. Whatever's clever. I don't club that much anymore, but we could. And but more importantly, I wanted to. You'll hear some of the voices of my children on some of the music I'm going to share this evening. I wanted to include my family in this whole process. I just wanted my life to have a flow of continuity where I could be my authentic self. I could express my highest ideals. I could also express my shortcomings, my fears, my challenges, and for it to all be okay. So it's an experiment in, I don't like the word radical. There's so much. I feel like, why are we using that word so much? Everything is radical. It's like, no, I think just the basic version of everything is still enough. So I wanted to express a sort of radical self-acceptance. Some things you can't escape, and share that in my art and in my teaching and in my way of being to hopefully as my own way of making sense of being in the mystery, and hopefully to encourage y'all to be kind to yourself. So. The question, can hip hop be contemplative art? In Buddhism, we have this concept called anatta, which means no self, right? And I think for me, I love the idea of no self basically means that there's no inherent, defining, absolute quality to anything because everything is a combination of everything else. What this concept of anatta or emptiness also expresses is like everything has ultimate freedom. Everything is free to be as it is at any given time. Hip hop is an expression of this freedom, and it can be whatever we want it to be as consumers and as creators. And in this sort of experiment of radical self-acceptance, expressing myself as a hip-hop artist and as a Buddhist meditation teacher and practitioner, I'm exploring what it's like to just put that all together. So I think I've said enough, and now I'd like to offer the experience of what I've been chatting about. Cool? All right, thanks. Okay, let's see. So we will begin with a short guided meditation, and that will move into a sound bath with my singing bowls, and also sharing some of my music. Okay. So, my friends, you can find a posture that feels comfortable for you. If you like, you can close your eyes, but you don't have to. If you don't want to close your eyes, you can just sort of lower your gaze. Eric, am I the first Commonwealth Club guest with a top and bottom set of gold teeth? Yay! Hooray for firsts. If you like, you can find a comfortable place to rest your hands. And let's just begin by giving ourselves permission to arrive right here and right now, in this moment. Noticing the feeling of our body making contact with our seat. The feeling of our feet making contact with the surface beneath us. And if you know that feeling of setting down heavy luggage after a long journey, or taking off your shoes after a long walk, that feeling of being unburdened and settling, you can give yourself that same gift right now by gently letting go of whatever has happened before right now. And we can also let go of the need to know what might happen next. As we notice that the body is breathing. As you breathe in, you can silently say to yourself the words, right here. And as you breathe out, you can silently say to yourself the words, right now. Right here, right now. Giving your whole body permission to soften and relax just a little bit more every time you breathe out. Right here, right now. invite you to take a moment and just notice how you feel. Letting go of reciting right here, right now, and just breathing naturally. And check in with yourself the same way that you might check in on a dear friend or a loved one, asking, how are you right now? And allowing yourself to express or just know what's there without judgment. Noticing how you're feeling in your mind, in your body, in your heart. And now I'd like you to imagine, based on how you're feeling in this moment, if your best friend or someone that you care for deeply, if they were feeling exactly how you're feeling right now, what would you say to them? Whatever you would say to them, you can say to yourself, speaking to yourself in the language of a friend. If you find that it's not so easy to give yourself that kind of kindness and acceptance, that's okay. Just being willing is enough. You can say, I'm willing to be a friend to myself when I'm ready. But notice how it feels to just open up to some kindness and acceptance towards yourself in this moment. And then you can return to your breathing. Return to right here, right now, if you like. Or noticing how your body's feeling. The feeling of your body making contact with your seat. Or you can notice the coming and going of sounds. Yourself in this moment. Ask yourself, how do you feel? All that you have is this moment. That's the only thing that's real. Look at yourself in this moment. Ask yourself, how do you feel? All that you have is this moment. That's the only thing that's real. I try to focus excitement, sit in the lotus alignment. The truth is that I want to know what's inside, and the Buddha said you'll never know till you try it. I sit in silence and steady my breathing, try to see something I've never believed in. I want to know every part of my soul, how it develops and how it unfolds. All these emotions lock me in a prison. Soon as I notice, they're gone in an instant. Knock, knock, who's there when the door swings? Robin Hood with an arrow and a bow strings. Look for the light at the end of the tunnel. All of the ways I've defended my struggle. I am the child, I am the parent, I am illusion, I am awareness, I am the pain that I didn't take care of that turned into all of the things that I'm scared of. What do I notice is none of it lasts. Same as the lightning and thunder that crash. All of the thoughts and the feelings and fears stay for a moment and then disappear. Everything in me is naturally free. All that's required is I let it be. I am the sun, I am the storm. They call me infinite when I was born. I am enough is the mantra repeated for all of the love and compassion that's needed. And yes, I might fall again, but then I'll rise again, sitting cross-legged and closing my eyes again. And closing my eyes again. Look at yourself in this moment. Ask yourself, how do you feel? All that you have is this moment. That's the only thing that's real. Look at yourself in this moment. Ask yourself, how do you feel? All that you have is this moment. That's the only thing that's real.
Shariputra. Form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself, form. Sensations, perceptions, formations, and consciousness are also like this.
Breath is love and love is all. Softer than the breeze that turns the summer into fall. Form is emptiness and emptiness is form. I'm breathing in a quiet place where memories are born. Sitting hours long in poses, plus the power of enforcers. Turn me from an ogre to a flower garden stroller. Como Rebbe photographer holding heavy binoculars. Each falling leaf is a slow and steady provocateur. Perpetual evaporation, no matter how you move the decimals or calculations. The mystery reinvents. Pray I'm a great grandfather when my breathing relents. Finally, I wanna live. Romanticizing death is just the luxury of kids. Amitabha, Avalokiteshvara, my son and daughters. Followed by a foolish man to prove destiny in nirvana. Blessings cannot befall us. Devils could only stall us. We adopt the mind of Joseph when heaven's messengers call us. 7 steps in the garden, or sending flesh to piranhas. Or a bodhisattva holding a treasure chest for the farmers. Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, Dharma, Sangha, and Buddha. Me and Ayana like Moggallana and Sariputra. A liturgical reference if ever you read the suttas Allen Iverson provides if you ever need a computer. Young Bruce Wayne watching Zorro. Born eye sipping Suntory mixed with Sapporo. The relevance is Dali, Salvatore Mundi, Llamas is in the lobby. Promises often haunt me, my common sense was Atari. The levels built with my Akis was my eventual sorries. Why apologize for living? My teacher told me only I could compromise my sitting. Thank you, God, for this moment. I know it could be worse with even harder components. I invited Ka's spirit to enter me, to be a conduit, an expression of legacy. Time keeps turning, the mind keeps yearning. Fire sermon said that everything my eyes see burning. Returning to the source between the rhythm of my thoughts. Even in the deepest silence, know the rhythm isn't lost. Little did I know what losing innocence would cost. All the obstacles that I would come to witness through the course. Take a breath. Take a breath. Meditation at the tree of resilience. The hollow trunk reveals the burns I can see in my feelings. Hard to distinguish from the fires I can feel when I'm kneeling. Hard to distinguish from the visions I can see while I'm healing. I'm being enough as I spy the sublime. Walking the mountains, dancing with the sunlight through the pines. Time after time, broken hearted, the life of my dime. Spiraling chimes, my life full of crimes. I'm being enough as I learn and unfold. The words I compose fly away as a murder of crows. Soon as the moment good and evil converge in my soul, a new awakening begins to emerge and unfold. This is Shikantaza, sit and breathe and leave the peace to mama. Some repeat the horror, some go deep and then complete the saga. Breath. Take a breath. Some go deep and then complete the saga. This song is called Silent Illumination. And it's the first song from my album, Como Rebbe. All the songs you'll hear tonight are from my new album and featured in my new book as well.
Shariputra. All things are marked by
This
emptiness.
is my mother-in-law.
They neither arise nor cease, are neither defiled nor pure, neither increase nor decrease. This perfect wisdom carries us from the banks of suffering to the shores of liberation.
The first voice you heard was my youngest daughter, Sati. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. This next song is called Equinox. When I'm just sitting and seeing, swimming the river of being, thirsty for knowledge, but when I dissolve, it's beyond just the literal meaning. After nirvana, the laundry, after enlightenment dishes, all that I know is there's only this moment and never a higher position. What could inspire my vision? Open my eyes and I listen. Total surprise when I'm going inside and I know what I'll find is defying description. I'm never dying a victim, raising a child with my wisdom. Dream of the shore, but the feeling is raw when I look at the miles in the distance. Answering calls from the prison line, told them to chill and just give it time. Still when you can't see your children, even in the summer it's cold as the winter time. Some of my people move packages, beefing and speak to the mattresses. If you could see all my damages, doubt you could ever believe how I managed it. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Kneeling and noticing breaths, I feel the wind moving in and out of my chest. Silence is loudest when I think about it. I'm emptying out until nothing is left. Moments can never be broken. Sit and reflect on a quote that can never be spoken. Let it be known I'm content to be sown as the fabric upon which the effigy's woven. Freedom is all that we are. See in myself everything that I see in the stars. Sometimes I weep and I sob. Loving myself is the same as believing in God. I try to let it all go. Stay in the present within the perpetual flow. Where do we go when it's done? Into the sun? Only the heavens can know. Burning the slowest of candles. Watching the butterfly go when I open my hand up. This is a koan when stillness can flow on the freedom of knowing I don't know the answer. Hell is behind us. Best we could do is just let it remind us hell is behind us. Presence and kindness ended my blindness. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. That was Equinox. This next song is called Practice. Love is patience, love is grace, and both of these are understatements. Be the mountain, be the ocean, be forgiven, be devotion, concentration, then distraction, slowly learning, self-compassion. When you feel it's getting scary, just remember it's temporary. First it's coming, then it's going. Everything is forever flowing. Trust awareness, that's your knowing that there's no coming or no going. Into being, interweaving, spring, summer, fall, winter speaking, staying present, then distracted, then returning. This is practice. Visits by the demon, sit and watch your breathing. Soon as you can see him, that's when he'll be leaving. Open your awareness, let your body settle. When you learn to let go, thoughts are just an echo. Let go of the struggle and the striving. Life is all around you, try to rest inside it. Searching, you won't find it. When you recognize it, God is like the sun and you are what the light is. So be the mother, be the dad, be the friend you never had. Be the sun, be the earth, be the death, be the birth. See the past, see the future, be the present, be the Buddha. And when you start to get distracted, just come back again. This is practice. I lie awake, a quiet place, see the eyes behind the face, close the door behind the gate. My teacher said, no time to wait. Ancient trees, painted breeze, the simple pattern of ginkgo leaves. I pray for love, I pray for peace, I pray for change, wait and see. Autumn nights, shooting stars, quiet dawn, who is God? Through the heart, do my part, the turning of the wheel of Buddhist art. Sit and listen, inner visions, intuition, intermission, then returning, then releasing. This is practice, keep repeating. That was practice.
This is our practice, to return to the present moment again and again with an open mind and an open heart.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, this is true. This is true. Yeah, I've been experiencing those type of things, but I feel like, well, I hope that was a good experience for you, and if it wasn't, it's over. So.
Question.
I was very interested in your Zen practice, and that I know about Zen. There are some people that have koans, some people that have masters, some people that, go to Japan.
Yeah.
I know nothing about you except the word Zen, and I wondered if you could flesh it out.
I just got a talking to from my Zen teacher to not be using that so much. So I will say that I've been a Buddhist practitioner for 20 plus years, but I am a new student of, I practice primarily in the Theravada or Vipassana insight tradition. And I have recently been practicing in the Zen tradition, informed by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, and also a Soto Zen teacher by the name of Zenju Earthling Manuel. And okay, shout out to Zenju. Yeah, shout out to Osho Zenju. Yeah, and yeah, so I'm a Zen baby and just learning. Yeah, so but I think what I am really appreciating about how Zen has allowed me to continue my practice is the openness and the spaciousness that it points to. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because you mentioned Vipassana, I wondered if you've ever been to the India, which is the home of where Vipassana began.
Yeah, it's on the list. I've been to Thailand, which is not India, but where the Thai forest tradition was very, and teachers like Ajahn Mun, Ajahn Chah, Ajahn Lee Damadaro, Ajahn Sao, they were very, very influential on me, and they were continuing the Indian Dhutanga sort of semi-ascetic meditative practices that were really influential to me. So yeah, India is a spiritual home, and I hope to visit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've also been practicing with Zen for about 20 years, and I always felt like that what was missing was music. Chanting is fine. I love chanting, and also just some joy. It was always just missing some joy. So I'm just feeling really emotional about how much joy I feel in combination with Zen. And Zenju, I can't believe you got the most fierce teacher.
Yeah.
And also, does Rev Angel know about you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We were all, so how Alice Walker ended up writing the foreword to my book is I was invited to practice, when I was invited to practice at Tassajara Monastery with Zenju, and when we got there, you know, everyone's getting attacked by deer flies at this like sort of staging area where people are driven down into the valley of the mountain, like by these big trucks. And so, I mean, so Osho Zenju is sitting there with a few friends, and everybody is getting eaten alive by deer flies. And she's like, "This is my friend Alice Walker," and I was like, "Surely Alice Walker's not the." I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting name to have." Yeah, and so it definitely not the Alice Walker getting eaten alive by deer flies out here in the dust. It wasn't till like the second or third day of the retreat where I was like, "Wait a second, is that the?" Yeah, and it was. And I got lost on the mountain, and I came down, and I told this story about how I got lost, and she took so much like motherly pity on me, and we became acquainted after that. But yes, Rev Angel was there also with her community, and yeah, we are aware of one another. Yeah, for sure. Behind you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. I am a spoken word artist, and I also have a spiritual practice. And I wonder about those two worlds coming together, because here you are. And I was wondering what it was like when those two worlds came together for you, and how did you, I don't know, change, and yeah, if you have any tips as well.
Yeah, so it was very liberating for me to not compartmentalize my life, and I think, and I think it can vary from person to person. I think the question is, in what way do you feel most liberated? Because for some folks, maybe that's in a whole lot of compartmentalization and then having the freedom to choose who you are at any given moment. For me, that is exhausting. So what on the one hand, I was having what I felt that I was on the trajectories to a certain kind of material success by compartmentalizing my life this way, by trying to do the sort of mainstream conventional route of a musician or an artist and just try to get the most numbers, the biggest crowds, the biggest, big. And then my spiritual practice was very personal. My work as a teacher was also not something that was like, that I was making a big deal out of, you know. And, but deciding that, like, hey, what if, even if it means that we are going super small, because I was playing, like, I was doing a lot of electronic music, so I was playing these big raves, like 100,000 people, and it's like, yeah, it's great, but it didn't feel great. It felt okay, but like something like this, I feel fantastic. This is so good. It's like, oh, you know, it's just like, Madonna mia, you know. So that's the feeling that we're going with. Like, so even if it doesn't make rational sense, you know, go for that feeling of like depth and liberation. Like, yeah, this feels good. You know, this is where it's at. If that feeling will not lead you astray. And I think I've had more meaningful, I don't even know if success is the right word, but more meaningful experiences of life since just choosing to be in my authentic fullness. And it seems like you're taking a risk, but you're actually responding to your true nature. And you get kind of rewarded for that, honestly. But it's a mystery. It's who knows how it's going to shake out. But you won't feel crappy doing it. And so who cares? You know what I'm saying? So I would say just do it. And it's a mystery. There's no roadmap. So just like, hey, what feels authentic? What feels good? What feels liberating? Let's do that, you know? And don't have to be big. Just start like super small.
That's such a valuable perspective, I think. And for me, that it was something like, I'm in the corporate world, but my spiritual practice doesn't really like that. This is my work self, and this is my private time self, my art, my whatever I do. And letting them kind of feed each other has been, people even like me better at work. It's strange.
I think the whole thing is counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's because our sort of default setting is attuned to anxiety and survival at like the base. You know, the things that we bring the traits that have enabled us to survive into what we think will make us feel fulfilled. And it often doesn't work like that. It's like, I have to, you know, survivor mind state is like accumulate, you know, and don't do anything that could put that at risk. You know?
Perform your role to the best.
Yes.
Like a performative type of way of being where you're acting like you know, a professional or a musician.
As if there is a prototype for any of those things.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going on. It is a complete and utter mystery. There is no blueprint for anything. And everyone's like, I should be this way. What way? What way is that? Show me the way. Who knows the way? Nobody. Anybody know somebody that knows what's going on?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question on that. I'm so appreciative of your presence and very inspired. And so wondering if you could talk about who knows the way for you and who has inspired you along the way. Also linking to the question about, you know, connecting different parts of yourself. And so who in particular has inspired you, or who have your role models been along your journey in being your authentic self and being able to perform in a way that feels really authentic and liberating?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. So I want to point back to this practice of self-compassion. I was really having a very tough time during the pandemic. I think I was experiencing a lot of depression, and I just had the good fortune of working with a Haitian Haitian American therapist named Dr. Cholette Josue. And I don't think Dr. Josue knows I'm shouting him out. I shouted him out in my book. Maybe I don't even know if it's ethical to do that, but whatever. He was like, I know you're telling people to be kind to themselves, but like you are not doing that for yourself. And so we're just going to do self-compassion boot camp. And just whatever it was just pointing me back to being kind to myself. So sometimes I'd write a little letter to myself, or, I'd listen to Dr. Kristen Neff, I'd listen to Louise Hay, I'd listen to my own guided meditation. But it was me talking to myself in a nice voice, so it was weird, but it was good. And I would share with the people that I trusted how I was really feeling. But mostly, I learned this hack, and I really want y'all to come away with this, is that what I shared in the meditation, if your best friend or someone you care about was feeling however you're feeling in any given moment, what would you say to them? Let's do it right now. So notice how you feel. Now, if someone you love was feeling exactly how you're feeling right now, what would you say? Let's just say it out loud, popcorn style. It's okay. You're going to be all right. You're human. Feels good.
Understandable to feel that way.
Understandable to feel that way. You got this. I'll walk with you. You might say it's not okay. I texted a friend that like, that really sucks. It's not okay. And didn't we all kind of need to hear some variation of all that was just said? That is the value of self-compassion. When you give it to yourself, you are sending a signal out that it's okay to accept yourself. You're walking with that. You're embodying that. And that embodiment is a gift, not to yourself, but to yourself, but to the environment also. So be kind to yourself. Get to know, be a friend. We all have friends that are an absolute mess. And we know why they're a mess. Maybe you're the messy friend. It's fine. But we know why they're a mess, and so we accept them. We know they've been traumatized, or they've been through this, or they have a condition, whatever. And so we accept their messiness. Well, somehow we leave ourselves out of that. And so in accepting your fullness, your messiness, and knowing that there's no standard that exists that you should be judging yourself by. It's no standard. Whoever you think knows to a point, maybe. I'm inspired by people who will admit they don't know. Zen is all in Zen. There's an adage in Zen: only don't know. That's what I'm talking about. Put that in my veins. Now, I don't know anything about Zen, so please don't tell anybody that I even spoke about it. But all I'm saying is that I'm inspired by the attitude of not knowing, by giving up the conceit of knowing. If you know that I cannot possibly know, so I'm doing the best I can, and I accept myself fully. You make friends with yourself, then those parts start to come together. Or you even do parts work with the therapist. That's the thing. Do that. Do internal family systems. Just put yourself together and love it all. And in that, then it becomes natural to be authentic, because all of you is welcome. Does that help? Yeah. Does that answer? Does that come in the neighborhood of what you were asking?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
We have time for one more question.
Did anything come online?
Nothing. No questions from the live stream, but
Okay, cool.
Bring them on if you got them, live stream.
Thanks for sharing your art. It was really inspiring. I was wondering if you had like a process or any particular way about tapping into your creativity. I try to like use mindfulness or meditation practice to try to pull out ideas, like I don't know if you've heard of like the late David Lynch's advice.
Yeah.
Look for
They're like little fish.
Look for the deep fish.
Yeah.
And being still and quiet calms the waters and allows you to go deep and get the big fish. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I'm always, I think everybody's process is probably going to be very unique to them. And I think honoring what intuitively feels right for you is the way. So there's a saying by, not just learned, but I always forget. It is an old Catholic white man. It is not Saint Tom. Wait, no, it's not Saint Francis. It's not Saint Augustine. It is Saint Augustine. Augustine. Okay, sorry. I'm a Buddhist. Saint Augustine, I'm pretty sure, is the one who emphasized this term, solvitur ambulando. It is solved by walking. And for me, just getting out and taking a walk just kind of opens the channel. Yeah, and whether I'm working on my book or wanting to write a new song. When it comes to writing a song, I listen to the music and I'm either hijacked by the moment and have to do something or not. And so I trust that feeling of just being like grabbed. But in my book writing process, walking has been a big help. But I just follow these things intuitively, and I think following your intuition is the way.
Thank you.
What if you're walking and you have a really great idea? How do you remember it? Do you just remember it?
No.
Or do you have to stop?
No, I tell my phone.
Oh, okay. See, technology is our friend.
Yeah. Technology. Anatta, sunyata. There's no inherent good or bad in technology. Sometimes, however you're applying it. So yeah, then it's just my little recorder. It's like I'm a 20s journalist on the beat. Like, click, that nose flash today. I got a new idea. Blah, blah, blah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, our gratitude to Bornai for being here today. And our gratitude to the audience for being here and for those also on the live stream. And so now this meeting of the Commonwealth Club of California commemorating our 122nd year of enlightened discussion is adjourned.